Chapter 16 of Bill the Conqueror by P.G. Wodehouse. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. A dinner engagement for Bill. London was a dead and empty city when Bill turned the corner into the Prince of Wales Road, Battersea. Even the coffee stall at the end of the road was silent and deserted. Just how late it was he did not know, for his watch, like time itself, seemed to have stopped. He was dimly aware of a not unpleasant fatigue, for, like Judson on a previous occasion, he had walked all the way back from Wimbledon, not, as had been the case with Judson, because he had to, but because his uplifted mood made any other form of locomotion impossible. Lovers are a curious and unpractical race. If Bill had been asked what he imagined himself to have gained by his journey to Holly House, and those hours of silent sentinel duty in the shadows of its garden, he would not have been able to say. Yet he was not conscious of having wasted his time. The fact, too, that it had been quite impossible for one, with his slight knowledge of the topography of the house, to guess which of those windows, whose lights had gone out one by one as he watched, belonged to Flick, did not in any way take the edge off his fervor. For all he knew, he might have been expending his emotional energy on the window of his Uncle Cooley, or even on that of Mrs. Hammond. But he did not care. He had done the only thing possible on such a night, and now he was ready to drop into bed and dream of quickly made fortunes, and a life lived happily ever after. He climbed the 5 flights of stairs that led to No. 9 Marmont Mansions, and stepping delicately to avoid waking Judson, reached his room. 10 minutes later he was asleep. Exactly when it was that he was woken by a noise that sounded like the sudden collapse of the roof, he could not have said. The evidence of his window, which had been an oblong of black and was now an oblong of dingy gray, seemed to point to the fact of several hours having passed. He was on the point of dismissing the noise as part of a dream, when the sound of a hearty chuckle outside his door came to convince him of its reality. There was somebody in the passage, and, however unpleasant it might be to get out of bed, it behooved him to go and look into the matter. Only an idiot burglar would burgle a place like this and laugh while doing so. But even idiot burglars must be thrown out by the conscientious householder. Bill put on a pair of slippers, grasped a chair as the handiest weapon, and charged forth. The noise had evidently been caused by the falling of the hat-stand, and what had caused the hat-stand to fall had just as evidently been the efforts of Judson Coker to hang his hat on it. He was now leaning placidly against the front door, and he turned a happy face in Bill's direction as the latter came out of his room. He was still in full evening dress, with the exception of the white tie conventionally worn with that costume. This he had apparently lost or given away, and in place of this he was decorated with a ribbon of light blue of the kind used to adorn the female hair, hanging diagonally athwart his shirt front and giving him a vaguely ambassadorial look. His hair was disordered, and he beamed at Bill with an almost overpowering friendliness. Battersea at that moment contained no sunnier man than Judson Coker. "Hello, Bill, old man!" he cried jubilantly. "Say, I can't get this darned thing to stand up, Bill, old man. Every time I try to make it stand up, it falls down, and every time it falls down, it makes the most awful noise, and every time it makes the most awful noise, I try to stand it up, and every time I try to stand it up, it falls down, and every time— Where was I?" he asked, puzzled. Bill lowered his chair and regarded him sternly, then stooped and restored the hat-stand to an upright position. Judson, who had watched the process with a tense interest, which would have been almost excessive if his friend had been trying to walk a tight-rope across Niagara Falls, uttered an excited cry. "You did it!" There was nothing petty or envious, no hidden note of jealousy about his admiration. "You did it! First shot! You're a better man than I am, Gunga Din." "Don't make such an infernal noise." "You're quite right, Bill, old man. Noise, yes, but not infernal noise. Well, Bill," proceeded Judson genially, "it's great seeing you again after all this long time. Yes, sir, that's what it is. Great. What have you been doing with yourself? Sit down and tell me all about it." "What have you been doing? That's what I would like to know." Judson nodded owlishly. "You're absolutely right, Bill, absolutely right. You're always absolutely right, and a great gift it is, too. Nothing to beat it. Well, Bill, old man, I've been out to supper. You remember my pointing out a girl to you at the Wait," said Judson with dignity, raising a compelling hand. "Lots of fellows think I can't say the word. Oh, yes, they do. It's all over London that I cannot pronounce the word Alhambra. But I can, and I'm glad. Where was I?" Bill, somewhat recovered now from the moroseness which comes to those abruptly awakened in the small hours, was growing interested. "Did you meet someone who took you to supper?" he asked. "No, sir," replied Judson with a touch of hauteur. "I was the one that took someone to supper. Yes, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, 'Where did I get the money to take someone to supper?' And very frank and honest of you, too, to say so. Manly, that's what I call it, manly. I got that money, Bill, old man, because I've got a head." "You'll have one tomorrow, all right," said Bill unkindly. "A smart business head," resumed Judson. "Lots of fellows haven't got smart business heads, and where are they? Streeping the sweets. You know what I did? Well, listen then, because you're a young man trying to get along, and this'll be useful to you. Alhambra! I've said it once, and I can say it again. You remember that piece there was in all the London papers about Toddy Van Ryter founding the silks? Well, I clipped that out and mailed it to Toddy and told him I'd had it put in all the London papers because he was a young man trying to get along, and I wanted to do him a good turn. At the same time, and mark this, Bill, always bearing in mind the word Alhambra, at the same time I asked him to lend me 100 smackers. And what ensued? He sent 'em. They arrived this morning. And that's what I say to you, and I want to lay stress on this, Bill, that anyone who thinks that just because I've been having a bite of supper I can't say the word Alhambra, lies, said Judson, waving his hand spaciously and restoring his balance by a swift snatch at the hat-stand. "In his teeth. And you know as well as I do, Bill, that it's the worst possible thing to lie in your teeth, because 4 in every 5 will get pyorrhea." "You'd better go to bed," said Bill. "I will," agreed Judson, with a sage nod of his smart business head. "That's just one little thing that I will do. I'd like," he went on, eyeing the hat-stand with sudden truculence, "to see the man who will stop me going to bed. That's me, blunt and straightforward, and if people don't like it, they can do the other thing. I'm going to bed, just like that." "This way," said Bill. "Watch your step." "Funny you should have said that, Bill, old man," chuckled Judson. "It's just what that girl said, the girl I met at the Alhambra." He halted. "Bill, there's something at the back of my mind that I want to tell you, something important, but what is it? There you have me. But it'll come back. Oh, yes, it'll come back. Never forget that, Bill. However black the sky, however dark the outlook, it'll come back. It'll come. Well, good night, Bill, old man. Mustn't keep me up," said Judson, and with a brief Alhambra vanished into his room. Daylight was now streaming pinkly in through the window, and the bird population of Battersea Park had begun to greet it with a vociferous chirping. The light and the noise combined prevented Bill from dropping off to sleep, which was just as well, for an hour later his door opened and Judson made his appearance, clad now in a suit of blue pajamas. "Just looking in to tell you that thing I forgot," said Judson. "It came to me in a flash only half a minute ago." "Well?" Judson plunged into thoughtful silence for a moment. Sorry," he said. "Forgotten it again. Good night, old man." He retired. Bill closed his eyes, and after what seemed the lapse of a few minutes, awoke to find that the morning was well advanced, so well advanced that he could hear down the passage, as he opened his door, the pleasing sound of one who prepared breakfast. He made his way to the bathroom, to the accompaniment of a musical snoring from behind Judson's closed door. It was only after Bill had finished breakfast and was reading the Sunday papers that the heir of the Cokers presented himself. A trifle pale, he seemed nevertheless in far better condition than one meeting him some hours back would have supposed possible. His mental equilibrium also seemed to have re-established itself. He bade Bill a subdued but friendly good morning, and drank 4 cups of coffee in rapid succession. "Did I dream it?" he said, "or did I make a certain amount of noise coming in last night? Seem to remember crashing into something." "That was when you upset the hat-stand." "The hat-stand!" said Judson, pleased. "That was the clue I wanted. Now it all comes back to me. How much did I tell you, old man, when I came in? Or didn't I? I seem to remember having a chat with you." "You told me Toddy Van Ryter had sent you $100. "That's right." Judson helped himself to more coffee, but declined with a gentle shake of the head and the soft, sad smile of a suffering saint Bill's offer of scrambled eggs. "In fact," he confessed, with reference to these wholesome foodstuffs, "I don't believe I can even stand a sight of them. You might put a paper up in front of your plate, Bill. Thanks. It's funny about eggs on the morning after. They sort of look at you." He drank deeply from his coffee cup. "Well, now, let's see. Did I tell you about taking Prudence Stryker to supper?" "You told me you took someone to supper." "That's right, Prudence Stryker, the girl I pointed out to you, a dear old pal of mine back in New York. Remind me sometime to tell you about the night she and I and Jimmy Boole and Freddie Osgood—" "Thanks," said Bill. "You told me about that at the Alhambra." "Did I? "Oh, well, there she was, prancing about on the stage last night. And after the show I popped round and took her out for a bite of supper. We had quite a good time." "So I gathered." "Got in with a bunch of hearty mixers and went on to a fellow's apartment. Just a nice home evening. It wasn't till about 3:30 in the morning that the people in the apartment below sent for the police. Well, what I'm trying to tell you, Bill, is that Prudence handed me a bit of information that's going to send you singing up and down Battersea Park Road. I meant to tell you last night, only it slipped my memory." "You're sure you remember it now?" "I certainly do. It was about that mutt, Slingsby." "Slingsby?" Bill laid down his knife and fork, the better to attend. For the first time he permitted himself to hope that this news of Judson's might really be of importance. "How does Slingsby come into it?" Judson shook his head sadly, as one mourning over the wickedness of the world. "Slingsby treated that poor girl darned badly, Bill, old man. I didn't get an absolute stranglehold on the facts of the case, because, between ourselves, I wasn't feeling as bright as I could have wished at the moment. But I did get on to this, that Prudence and this fellow Slingsby were extremely matey for quite a time, and then he sneaked off and started going around with a girl from the Gaiety, and one thing leading to another, Prudence did the square, straightforward thing by blacking his eye and passing out of his life forever." "She blacked his eye? Then that was—" "Exactly. It happened the night before Flick went to work in his office. But that's neither here nor there, old man. I'm coming to the really important part. We, somehow or other, got talking about you, and I mentioned that you were old Paradine's nephew and had come over to London to try to find out why the profits on the old boy's business had fallen off. And then she said that you were just the fellow she wanted to meet, because she could put you wise to where the dirty work was." Bill sat up excitedly. "There really has been dirty work?" "As far as I could gather from Prudence, it has been running on all 6 cylinders for years. And here's the point. I was verging on a state which you might call pie-eyed when she told me, but I gathered this much, that one night Slingsby, who must have been pretty well tanked himself to do such a bonehead thing, confided the whole business to her, told her everything, old man, where the body was buried and all about it. The way fellows you would ordinarily think darned shrewd, level-headed birds make goofs of themselves with women beats me. Look at Samson, or Mark Antony, for the matter of that. The bigger they are," sighed Judson, "the harder they fall." "But what was it? What has Slingsby been up to?" "Ah, now that," said Judson, "she didn't tell me, because she's saving it up for you. She wants to give you the lowdown in person, so that you can hand it on to the old man, thereby doing Slingsby dirt and putting him where he belongs. I've arranged everything. You're to give her dinner tonight." "Tonight?" "This very night. I'll come too, if you like." "No, thanks." "Sure? No trouble, you know." "Quite sure, thanks." "Very well," said Judson resignedly. "Maybe you're right, at that," he went on after a moment's meditation. "The idea of a quiet evening and an early bed doesn't look so bad to me, I'm bound to admit. For some reason or other I've got an odd sort of headachy feeling today. I guess it's the weather. Well, she will meet you at Mario's at 8:15. You can't miss her. Tall, dark, handsome girl, built rather on the lines of a motor truck." "Mario's?" said Bill. No, hang it all, not Mario's."
"Eh, why not?"
"Mario's is sacred. It was there that I dined with Flick the last time we had dinner together before she went off to America."
"You'll go to Mario's and like it,"
said Judson firmly.
"Good heavens! You can't expect the girl to start chopping and changing just to humor your whims. It's darned decent of her to take the trouble to meet you at all."
"Yes," admitted Bill, "I suppose it is."
8:15 sharp in the lobby, then. You won't have any difficulty spotting her. She'll be wearing a red dress. She's rather Spanish in appearance, with great gleaming eyes and a good lot of teeth."
"Ugh!"
"Eh?"
said Judson sharply. "Nothing."
"She's a thoroughly nice girl, full of pep. You'll like her."
"I will if she really tells me something important about Slingsby. Gosh, Juddy, do you realize that this may mean the straightening out of everything? If she can tell me as much as you think she can, I shall be in the strongest possible position with Uncle Cooley."
"Aces and eights,"
agreed Judson. "And then I shall be able to take Flick away from those confounded people of hers and marry her without any more delay. Juddy, you don't know how I feel about Flick. She's like a wonderful inspiration. Sometimes when I'm sitting all alone I can see her face with those dear blue eyes of hers." Judson reached for the Referee and hoisted it defensively in front of him. There are limits to the obligations of friendship.
"Some other time, old man,"
he said. End of chapter 16.